Hey, William Gilmore here, welcoming you back to another exciting edition of the ScreenwritersJourney.com. It is day 234 of Season 2, and today was actually a very exciting day. As you know, I've been attending a writer's workshop called Inside the Room, sponsored by REJ Entertainment. It's a literary management company, and they have set up a mock writer's workshop. And basically what you do is you come in each week, over 8 weeks, and pitch an idea for a television series. And you're going to be pitching the same idea each week. And the idea is to get really comfortable with your story and your pitch so that when you go out for reels and start pitching, you'll be very comfortable doing that. And I have to say, when I signed up for this workshop, I wasn't quite expecting so much pitching. I thought it was going to be more writing and developing the script. There's certainly a lot of story development that goes on and a lot of character development, world building, tone, things like that, but it's all done through the idea of the pitch. So on that very first week when we all met, we had to pitch two different ideas, and then we got to pick which idea we wanted to continue through the workshop based on the response that we got from the other people in the group. So there are roughly eight other members of the workshop who function as a writer's room. Excuse me. And as you pitch your story, like you would in a writer's room, those other writers get to chime in and offer suggestions, offer critiques, advice, things like that, as you build your story idea. So I pitched two different stories, and the one I went with is called Below the Fold. It's the title that I went with based on the advice of another member in the group. And basically it follows a young woman who's a reporter for a down-on-its-luck newspaper in the Tampa Bay, Florida area, and she finds her life in danger when she covers the suicide of a U.S. senator and ends up going down a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and terrorist plots that threaten to undermine the U.S. government. So we'll be following her week to week as she tries to unravel this giant mystery of what's going on. And that's basically my very, very fast pitch. When I first pitched that idea in the workshop, it was probably close to 15 minutes long. I went into a lot of detail and a lot of explaining before people were allowed to jump in and start asking questions. And what I found over the course of the workshop is that pitch has come down now to somewhere around between 3 to 5 minutes. It's much more succinct, and it lays it out a lot better. And it's taken a while to get to that point. So the first week you sort of pitch that overall idea of the series, and the second week you pitch it with an emphasis on characters. So you're talking a lot about characters. And in the third week you talk about the setting, and then you'll talk about the world, and then you talk about the tone of the piece. So as you start adding all these different elements in over the course of the workshop, you're sort of whittling it down and finding the bits and pieces that you like from each section and creating your pitch from that. And as an added bonus, they bring in a writer from a network series each week, and they have a different guest host. We've had writers from NBC's This Is Us. We've had two different writers from that series, and several other series who've come in and offered their advice. And it has been quite helpful. It's a very different experience than I was expecting, but it has been quite informative and educational, I have to say. The one thing that I wish I had done more of at this point is pitch in more on some of the other stories and give more comments. I'm probably one of the more experienced writers in the group. There's a couple of them who've written some things, and some are complete beginners. And some of those beginning stories, it was hard to offer suggestions because the story was kind of all over the place, and basically all I could say was, you need to focus this more. You need to pick one thing and follow that. So I'm not sure that my advice was as generous or as helpful as maybe some of the other people who didn't come from quite a rigorous background, because I was wanting to get into the nitty-gritty and the details, and they were offering more general, broad suggestions. So that's something that I've been learning, is how to adjust my critiques, because I can certainly do it in something like rewrites workshop that I go to on Thursday nights, where those writers are more experienced and you can get into more details. Um, Trying to offer those details in this situation wasn't necessarily helpful to the writer, because they weren't far enough along yet to get into that kind of minutia. Um, and I wasn't real good at painting the broad strokes yet. I've gotten better at it, so that's been good. But as part of that sort of mock writers workshop, the mock writers room, uh, where you have to jump in and participate and interact and collaborate, I wasn't quite as good at that as I thought I might have been. So something I definitely need to work on. But my pitching also was not that great early on. I've gotten better, certainly much better. It's something that I really need to work on if I'm going to go out and start pitching things. And it's been very, very helpful. This particular week, we got to present the first part of our scripts, the teaser, which is usually 3 to 5 pages, the first 3 to 5. And I had already sort of developed that about 2 weeks ago, and based on different things that I'd learned, in going through all those different weeks and developing things. So I took those pages into rewrites, and it went really well there. So I was anticipating coming in this week and presenting my teaser. Half the class will go this week, half the class will go next week. And I also did the first act, which I took in this past Thursday night to rewrite, and that went over really, really well. So I was feeling pretty confident coming into the workshop today. And I decided I was going to rework that pitch and try something completely new, and did a complete rewrite on it. And on paper, it looked great. And then when I started to try and actually pitch that idea, I sort of stumbled and bobbled. I wasn't quite as prepared to deliver that as I should have been, and I sort of flopped on my pitch this week, definitely. But I got enough information out that the other writers in the room obviously know what the story is, so they followed it. The guest writer from This Is Us asked a couple of questions about it, because I wasn't quite as clear as I should have been. And then we got down to actually reading the piece, and it went over great. It probably could not have gone any better. I was the only person who got applause after the reading finished. Now, to be fair, only one person applauded, but that was the writer from This Is Us. So I felt pretty good about that. Made a good impression on her. And as I tell you all the time, you've only got 10 pages to make that impression and hook your reader to keep them going, whether that's a producer, an agent, a director, an actor, whoever your reader is, you've got 10 pages. If you haven't hooked them by then, they're probably going to pass you on your script and move on to the next one. So I had her hooked in those first 3 pages. So yay for me. Some of the other writers also did very well. There was a young woman who was presenting a piece that she's been developing about a sort of a behind-the-scenes shenanigans of a kids' TV show. And the premise is very funny. She's had some really good ideas going through the various pitches, and when she presented her teaser today, she did an amazing job, frankly. There was, the premise was very clear. The characters were very clear. The stakes were set up. We introduced all the major players, and she did that all in 3 pages. So kudos to her. Great job. Some of the other pieces weren't quite as successful, but they all showed definite improvement from what we have learned over the course of the workshop in going through all the different pitches. And you can see how they had incorporated things into their scripts. Some of them have not written before. So developing a character abstractly, talking about it in a pitch and then trying to put that down on paper is a very different thing. And they maybe weren't quite as successful in accomplishing that, but they definitely had made progress in creating that character in the world. So good job all the way around by everybody, I thought. Like I say, some of them maybe not as successful as others. and most of them fell sort of in this middle ground where the writers had some experience writing, and so they were able to take the things and sort of run with it. Needed a little more focus, make things a little more defined. Trying to do too much in that short amount of time, but it's a learning experience. I think everybody learned from it, and it was really really worth the effort to go through this workshop. I definitely feel I have grown from it and learned. So I would definitely recommend it. They have a new workshop starting in August, is one that they're advertising now. I think they have one starting as soon as we're finished, but I think that's already filled. The next one that they have coming up in August is a slightly different format. It's an intensive. It's only 4 weeks instead of 8 weeks. And instead of meeting for an hour and a half each Saturday or Sunday, you meet all day long. So I don't know how they're going to do that, because it's actually more time than what we are getting, and it's a lot less money. So I want to ask some questions and find out about that. See how that's going to work. It's a lot less money. But overall, very, very, very positive. The one sort of sour note, or brought us down a little bit, one of our writers did not come back this week, and I kind of thought he might not. 2 sessions ago, he got real frustrated in trying to present his idea, and the problem I think he's been having is that he's got a premise. He knows what he wants the story to sort of be about, or what the instigating piece is for that. I don't want to go into too much detail on it. But he hasn't really developed a story around that. He's got this piece of technology that is sort of the basis for the whole story. And that's sort of where it's been left. He's changed the gender of the lead character from male to female, and then maybe going back to male, and he's tried a couple different things, but simply doing those kind of surface changes, it doesn't really change the fact that right now it's all premise and no story. And he got real frustrated about that, and I could see he was upset 2 weeks ago. Last week when he was in, he really vocalized those frustrations, and I basically said, nobody here likes my story, so I don't know what to do. I've tried everything and I don't know what to do. And people were very supportive, and they tried to talk to him through different things, and maybe he was approaching his pitch the wrong way, or just offering different suggestions to him. But he sort of stormed out very, very quickly when the meeting was over, and I thought there's a good chance he's not going to come back next week, because he's frustrated and upset, and he's not quite sure where to turn. And sure enough, he did not show up this week. So that was bad. So I may reach out to him this week because he still has a chance to present next week if he shows. And at least try and talk him into coming back. And maybe there's something there in that teaser that we're just not seeing in the pitch, and he needs to see that and hear that. Or maybe hearing that will allow him to see that there needs to be more story there. Certainly, having gone through this far and not completing it would be a disservice to himself. So I'm going to try and reach out to him and see if I can talk him into coming back. But the other good thing for me is that after the session ended, the writer from This Is Us approached myself and the young woman who wrote the kids piece and asked to see copies of our scripts when they're completed. She would like to look at them and maybe pass them on to some people she knows. She said she likes to share the wealth. So that was great. That made my day, made my week, possibly my month. So that was just gravy on having a great read. So that really made it all worthwhile, that I can now say I had a connection with someone in the writer's room at This Is Us. Now, whether it goes anywhere from there is anybody's guess. I may have a great teaser, and it may all fall apart after that. And she'll just go, thanks for submitting. We'll see you later. But it's a chance. It's a shot. Something that I didn't have last week. So, very positive development. I'm very excited about it. And so, scrambling now to try and get that script finished as quickly as I can and get it out there. That's about it for the moment. I think that's all I have. What more can I have after having great news like that? Oh, I do have one more thing. Since we got through more than half the class this week, and we've had a dropout, and someone else did not show up today, and I don't know why. I don't know if she just wasn't ready, because she's been coming along nicely, so I don't know why she didn't show. She's made all the other appearances. But if she's dropped out too, so if we have 2 no-shows, we've only got 2 people to read next week. So that's going to leave a lot of time left over, and one of the hosts of the event suggested that maybe I would want to bring in the first act of the piece if I'm ready to have them read it. And if we get through everybody else, maybe we could read the first act. So I may get the first act read at this talent management company as well. So bonus, bonus, bonus. It was a great day for William. Anyway, that's all I have. Please check in again next week to find out what happened, to see if our no-show writer does make it back. Do I get to read more on the piece? All kinds of great things. Anyway, that's all I have for now. I'm William Gilmore for the ScreenwritersJourney.com. I will see you next time, and until then, please keep up the writing.